Pressed. We are now live.
Good morning, Bertie.
Good morning, Debbie. How are
How are
you?
you doing? I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm excited about next week's talk because we're going to dig into something that's been really annoying me. But this week, what are we talking about, Bertie?
This week, we are talking about knowing your strengths. Do you know your strengths? That's the question we're asking today. So if you're here, how do we start this off? If you're here today, thank you for watching. If you're listening on the podcast, thanks for listening. And if you've got any questions, hit it in the comments below and we will try and answer them for you live because we're here every week at 10 a.m. For 10 minutes on a Friday before they're moving over to Clubhouse. So we'll be on Clubhouse straight after here as well today if you want to join us there.
So weekly at 10:15. But yeah, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, the dual part of that is important, isn't it? So that we look at the light and the dark in business. You know, we don't want to just focus on the things that we're really good at. We want to see the things that we're not so good at, because that's where the improvements can be made. But I love this idea of what's your strength, because it's such a simple question. And actually, by digging into that, you can kind of think, oh, God, I'm really good at this, or this is the thing that makes me stand out from the competition. And then you can start putting that on your website. You can start putting that in your pitches. You think, this is the thing that makes me stand out from everybody else. This is my strength. Strengths.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've put it on strengths. I think it does obviously then naturally feed into what your weaknesses are or your development areas, which is, I think you were told to put on your CV. Don't put your weaknesses, put your areas. These are the areas that I would like to develop. But even that,
very good.
And we'll touch on those shortly. But I think knowing what your strengths are, I think is a really good exercise just to take some time and write them down, think about it, because sometimes we can often think that, especially when we're overwhelmed and everything's just going tits up sometimes, it's really important just to focus on the positives. Actually, what are you good at? Why do you have customers right now? Why are they coming back? And all of those sort of things. And just taking that time to actually understand what your strengths are is a really positive thing to do, and I would encourage that we all do that from time to time. I was just doing it with my group this week. Everyone was just posting the things that they were good at, and that was a really good exercise. So it's really interesting when you make people just take the time to think about that. So if you're watching, listening, whatever you're doing, just actually think about what are your strengths. If you want to whack them in the chat, let's hear them.
Yeah, we want to hear them. And I think if you want to dig in a bit more, it's like thinking about, well, what are you good at? What is it you're good at? What differentiates you from your competition? And think about those things that you're proud of as well. And they're all your strengths. You could have a big, long list of your strengths, like, get them all out there. Think about the times when you're resilient, the times when you've done things well, the times when you feel really confident. Like, what are you doing when you're feeling really confident and you're in that zone of genius, doing all of that fabulous stuff? And I think one of the other things to do is if you're like, I'm not sure about my strengths, you can go and ask your past customers. Like, what do you think are my strong points? You can ask people who love you so you can get a little bit of feedback, because I think sometimes we don't even quite recognize the strengths that we've got. And it's through having those conversations with people that you're like, that's what you think my strength is. That's super interesting. I remember years ago kind of talking to a client of mine, and she said that my strength was being able to take quite complex bits of information and make them simple. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that was a strength that I had, making complex, because I just do it automatically. And I think that's the other thing about strengths. Sometimes they're things that we just do without questioning.
And you take for granted, don't you? And that's why I think it's an important exercise. So getting people to talk about it, tell you what your strengths are, especially if you're having those times where you think, actually, I don't know what I'm good at. And everybody has those times, right? Everybody has them. So just asking other people to quantify them. And when you're asking people what their strengths are, especially like if we're asking to put them in the comments now, this isn't about bragging. This isn't like, I'm shit hot, all this stuff. This is actually just about recognizing things you're good at. That's in no way showing off. And I think the two are often confused, and actually asking someone what they're good at, naturally you'll start listing things that you're bad at. And that's a really common thing as well. So it's, focusing on good stuff is a really positive thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. So we'd love you to post your strengths below. And I think also when you dig into your strengths, you can include them in like the benefits of working with you or the benefits of your product. Like these are the things that I'm good at, and these are the things that I can help you do, grow, be successful, all of that stuff. So it's well worth asking those people around you and seeing what they think. I always remember one of like the basic 101 coaching exercises is text 3 of your friends and ask them to describe you. Like ask them to tell you the words that they think about you. You know, are you strong? Are you effervescent? Are you like fierce? You know, and that's like such a lovely exercise to kind of boost your confidence and your morale, and then think, yeah, actually, this is how people view me. Because you're right. A lot of the time we go to the negative stuff about us. Well, I'm not this, and I'm not good at this, and I'm not good at this. And just getting that mirror on yourself is really kind of self-affirming. And we need it. You know, we need a boost. We need to feel good, don't we?
Absolutely. We do. And it's good that, I mean, you know, Lee's got a good point. I mean, it's, yeah, people close to you will generally tell you the good stuff, but sometimes that's what you want to hear.
Great.
That's what I mean, in this context, that's what you need to hear. I think it's very different if you're, you know, like I talk about when you're testing business ideas and things like that, you know, sometimes the worst people to talk to are your friends and family, for exactly the reason that you've just said there, Lee, is that you'll always get a biased opinion. But in this context, I think it's absolutely fine. Like, actually, what am I good at? It's people have got to quantify that answer. It's not just saying, yes, I'm going to use that business. Yeah, that sounds great. They've actually got to tell you why. It's not, am I good? Yeah, of course you're good. You look amazing at that or whatever. It's what am I good at? So, you know, it's all contextual. I think it's absolutely the right thing. I think we should talk a little bit about weaknesses as well, because that's obviously the flip side to this. I was having a good chat around this yesterday. There was when I was at Just Eat, I got like on the management team, we all had to fill in this questionnaire. I thought it was bullshit or whatever it was, and HR had sent it down, and it was to see how we all worked as a team together. Right. There was like there couldn't have been more than 50 questions on there, and I did answer them correctly. I didn't just like rush through it. I answered it. I thought, okay, give it a shot. A couple of weeks later, I got this report back, and it was the most in-depth, accurate thing that anybody has ever written about me ever. And it had all of these things like, when you're talking to Bertie, say this, because Bertie will get upset. And it's like, how did they know? How did they get that from all of those questions? But the interesting thing about that is at the end of it, there was this color wheel. And I was down on like heavily into the yellow and the red, like inspirational leader, but very weak technically in areas like attention to detail and other things. Even then, and bear in mind, this is 5 years ago, even then, when I was sat and explained this, my natural reaction to looking at that was, I need to get better at those areas. When actually the person that was explained to me was, no, that's not it. This is what you're really good at. So this now shows you if you're building teams, this is what you focus on. These areas aren't your speciality. So make sure that you choose people to work with who are really shit hot in those areas. Yeah. So your weaknesses aren't necessarily always a weakness. Of course, there's always things that you can improve on, but understanding what those strengths are is super important. And bear in mind, that's after I built a business, sold a business. This I'd never recognized, never thought about it in that way. I just thought that those weaknesses were weaknesses, and I need to get better at everything. Whereas now I focus on the stuff that I'm good at. So that's what I wanted to.
I think that's a really good point, because we can't be good at all things, can we? No. We can't be good at all things. I remember doing a similar psychometric test when I was a mentor for kind of people with substance misuse issues. And on that came out, Debbie is unmanageable. Brilliant. I'm unmanageable. I'm a little bit renegade. And that kind of felt at the time like, oh my God, like I'm unmanageable. Now as an entrepreneur, it's like, brilliant, I am unmanageable. And so running a business is the best place for me to be, because I get to make up the rules. I don't have to kind of, you know, I do work on projects like with you and the My Way project. So I can work with others, you know, just so you know. But as a rule, I'm much better suited to doing my own thing. So actually that idea of being unmanageable is a strength for me.
Yes,
but exactly. A lot of the time you can see weaknesses as weaknesses. Like when I was at school, everybody was like, you're a chatterbox. You're a chatterbox. It's like, great, this is brilliant, because I am a chatterbox. So now I can use that, what was seen as a weakness then, is actually a strength. So actually molding your career around what you are good at what is a weakness to one person is actually a strength in another situation, isn't it? So yeah, I love that way of kind of flipping it around and really thinking about, are we in the right place, suited to the things that we are good at, and can we turn those weaknesses into strengths?
Exactly. And it's not necessarily that you always have to develop those, but understanding what they are is a really important step. It's either you develop them or you work with people that complement your skills. And that's a really important thing. So we've got a couple of questions just before we sign off. So can we get, this is a big one. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, sure. So Catherine, hi Catherine, lovely to see you. It's so easy to overlook our strengths, especially if they're associated with our everyday lives. But we all have unique life experiences, yes, loving that, which have helped us to develop our own unique set of skills and qualities. And many of these are transferable to the workplace. Yeah, actually, that's stuff that you're good at in everyday lives, like being a chatterbox. Maybe you're good at organizing people. Maybe you're the person who brings all your friends together when you go for a night out, and you're the person who pulls things together. Like, they're strengths that will be really useful, in a business context. So we need to look overall, don't we? Catherine's right, at all the strengths that we have, not just in that business, but in our day-to-day life as well, and not overlook them and just go, oh, I'm just good at that.
Yeah,
I'm just a good writer, and you just assume that everybody else is good at writing, and then you're like, oh, they're not, are they? This is a real skill that I've got. So yeah, don't overlook them. My dad's written a nice comment as well, hasn't he? Can we put
on the screen? Look,
yeah,
there we go.
He says, I'm a great computer communicator and very passionate about what she does, which washes onto others and makes them feel good about themselves. Yay! That's nice, isn't it? Thank you, Dad. It's always good. See, we need people to big us up as well. We need that support, don't we? It's fine. Ask people to tell you what they love about you. What are your strengths?
What are your strengths? And that's what I should say. So we're coming up to the end of our conversation here. However, if you are on Clubhouse, you can come and join us, because we're going to be talking right through until about 11 o'clock. So we're going to be jumping over there now, and we're going to be continuing this conversation. If you've not used Clubhouse before, you can actually be invited up and actually talk with
the people. Bertie's frozen. You froze. So you can talk with the people. You can put your hand up. And if you don't have an invite, message me or Bertie. We can send you one. So get in touch. But we'll see you next. We'll see you next Friday, where we're going to talk about not being a shitty marketer.
Yeah.
And the pitfalls of being a shitty marketer. So yeah, we're going to get some of our bugbears out about that. So catch you next Friday or over in Clubhouse now.
Yeah, next week is a proper rant. We're going to go for it. Debbie's on there. So see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.